Well, we finally got the news that we have been waiting for at Jared Vanderbilt. Last week we got a little snippet of it. According to reports, he came back to practice, had been practicing with their G League team and was rehabbing and working his way back, but now it's been confirmed that he has been medically cleared to make his return. According to Shams Charania, he has been medically cleared to make his season debut against Golden State on Saturday, only a few days away at this point, and he will be coming back after nearly a year off due to an injury, both between a foot injury, then having a double foot surgery, then having some knee issues when trying to rehab and work his way back, but he's finally gotten past all of it and will in fact be coming back. Now unfortunately no word about Christian Wood, there's been no update about him. Reddit confirmed that yesterday prior to their game, but at least we are getting back Jared Vanderbilt, and that definitely can help out their team. I mean, we're talking about a team that currently ranks 22nd on defense, and pretty much throughout the entire season, they have been in the bottom half. For a week here and there, they have been pretty good, but they always seem to fall flat and go back to their ways in defense, not playing very committed defense, not having great defensive energy, and a guy like Jared Vanderbilt who never needs motivation to play defense will definitely help their team out. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he'll make them a top 5 defense, or at least not immediately. Maybe eventually between the combination of him, Anthony Davis, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Max Christie, a pretty good 4-man defensive front, and theoretically could play in the same lineup on the court together, maybe they will be able to turn it around for their team. And like I talked about last week, if they're trying to form a defensive identity, or let alone a team identity with this team, I think it will be dependent on Jared Vanderbilt. I mean, we're now 41 games in, officially at the halfway point of the NBA season, and they have yet to form any kind of team identity, or at least one that's been prolonged for about 5 to 10 games or even longer than that. So again, it might be dependent on Jared Vanderbilt. The only identity I see possible for them forming is on defense. Between that 4-man combination, simply more defensive commitment, and their entire team buying into it, which again might be a possibility on defense despite them currently ranking 22nd. That's the kind of impact that Jared Vanderbilt can make, and now with the addition and more minutes for Dorian Finney-Smith, it was confirmed that he was on a minute restriction, but that's slowly going away. He's now allowed to play about 28 minutes per game rather than only about 20 to 25 minutes per game, so that should help their team theoretically going forward, and especially on defense. And while we definitely do need to factor in that Vanderbilt might take some time to come back, I mean, I pretty much guarantee that it'll take him about 2 to 4 weeks at the bare minimum to get back to that top tier self on defense and the overall impact that he can make. Last time we seen him, he was playing really well. In the 16 games prior to getting hurt last season, from January 1st to February 2nd when he got hurt, I mean, the guy was putting up about 7.3 points per game in only 21 minutes per game, shooting 62.9% from the field, a team-high 53.8% from 3, believe it or not, albeit on low volume, but very impressive nonetheless, grabbing over 5 rebounds per game, over 1.5 offensive rebounds per game, leading their team in that category, leading their team in steals per game with 1.7, or about 3 of them per 36 minutes, and was making a big impact on their team. Again, obviously can't hope for that or not truly realistically expect that right away. I think that would be a bit delusional. We are talking about a guy that missed nearly an entire year here, coming off a double foot surgery, and simply working his way back from a pretty bad injury, so gotta give him about half a month to a full month at the bare minimum to get back to that top tier self. But even at that point, we're talking about late February, so there's quite a bit of season left for him to help their team out and get back to his former self and what he was doing for their team prior to getting hurt. And any version of Jared Vanderbilt is pretty much an upgrade on defense for them. Even a halfway healthy Jared Vanderbilt can be a pretty good defensive player, a switchable defender, a guy that can match up 1 through 4, a great offensive rebounder and defensive rebounder, an absolute pest on defense, a passing lane pest, an on-ball pest, an off-ball pest. The guy can simply do a lot for their defense and really their team identity overall. I mean, even by making a 1-player change from Rui Hachimura to Jared Vanderbilt in their starting lineup last season, it made a gigantic difference in their defense. With the Rui Hachimura lineup with their other 4 starters being LeBron, Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell, and Austin Reeves, they had a defensive rating of 110.5. Pretty good, but not quite as good compared to the Jared Vanderbilt lineup. That lineup had a defensive rating of 88.9, the best defensive rating of any lineup they had that played over 30 minutes together last season. And not only that, but the only one that had a defensive rating of under 100. I mean, the next closest had to be about 104, and that's a 15-point defensive rating difference, and that's a very big difference. Now we are talking about a lineup that played only 32 minutes together, should have played more, but they didn't, compared to that Hachimura lineup that played about 390 minutes together, so quite a big sample size difference. But again, the point here is that Vanderbilt can make a big difference to their defense, and they've now been seeing that for about 2 years, and they'll finally get the option back to have him back in their starting lineup, or simply rotation in general. And no, I don't think I put him in their starting lineup right away. He's definitely got to work his way back to it, and even then, probably a better option to come off the bench, with them now having Dorian Finney-Smith. If anything, that's the change I've been pushing for, making the change from Rui Hachimura to Dorian Finney-Smith, getting that defensive upgrade, a more switchable defender, versatile defender in general, with a good 3-point shooter, and unfortunately Vanderbilt can't provide that. Obviously is a better defender compared to either of them, even Dorian Finney-Smith, but simply can't compare offensively, neither to Rui Hachimura nor Dorian Finney-Smith. Even if we're talking about 3-point shooting, Vanderbilt can kind of provide it, but not really. A decent corner 3-point shooter, again was showing some potential prior to getting hurt, about 54% from 3, but on very low volume shooting, and last season in total, only shot about 29% from 3, and that's not very good. Only a 29% career 3-point shooter, and at best is probably about a 33% shooter. I mean, I definitely love for that to show improvement, but I'm not sure I'd take a big bet on it, especially coming off a year-long injury. Regardless though, I'm very happy to get him back. I know they're happy to get him back. The guy can make a big difference, and not only on defense, but simply for their team in general, giving them more energy, simply showing that commitment to playing defense, rebounding, and bringing it out there on the court, which other guys might not do on a night-to-night basis. Apart from their many problems, and you can point them out, one of them, and arguably the biggest one, does happen to be consistent energy. Far too often, they rely on LeBron and Anthony Davis for energy, and that's never a good thing. We're talking about a 40-year-old here, and then Anthony Davis, who does kind of struggle to bring energy on a night-to-night basis, and that's never a good thing when about half your team, or even more than half, rely on those two for energy to feed off that. And apart from Max Christie, Cam Reddish, and currently Dorian Finney-Smith, they don't have anybody else that really brings it without those two giving them energy, and that's never a good thing. But now Jared Vanderbilt, the definition of a spark plug, and really on both ends of the court, he can help give them more of that and help other guys to feed off that energy, which he will never have to be motivated or pushed to give that kind of effort on the court. He's simply that kind of player. He loves to play defense, loves to make the effort plays, and every team needs a player like that, if not 2 or 3 of them, which Jared Vanderbilt can definitely give them. And with that being said, that's kind of my primary takeaway from it. No, he might not be the Jared Vanderbilt that we remember quite yet. It might take him some time to work his way back, but what you can rely on from him, right from the get-go at that, is great energy and effort that will never have to be pushed to be brought out of him. He'll bring it every night. But with that in mind here, what do you guys think? How do you feel about the impending return of Jared Vanderbilt and what he might be able to offer their team and overall rotation in the near future? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one, and if you enjoyed the video, then I'll greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day.